did you find your way to this sort of amazing, beautiful position that you're in? That's a big question.
Well, I was famous on Vine, if you remember Vine.
I do.
And those videos are 6.5 seconds. So that was just enough time for me to say something like, there is nothing wrong with you. And I had to take all of the messages that I had been learning on my own and distill them into the most potent version for that particular platform. TikTok, the videos are 30 seconds, a minute, sometimes 3 minutes long. And that's luxurious. And of course, you can do even longer on Instagram. But the core message hasn't changed. I went away and lived at a Buddhist monastery because I hated myself so completely. I had to do something drastic.
When was that?
I've been studying Zen for about 20 years.
Going into this, I was thinking this might be a two-parter. It might be a two-parter because I have so many questions. So 20 years ago, you had such extreme self-hate, but it's interesting that you were like, I need to go to a Zen monastery. I mean, you didn't look it up in the yellow pages. You must have already been in that world to a certain extent, or you were already a seeker. Is that true?
I would say I was a seeker to the extent that I was taking yoga classes, for example. But I also was obsessed with this bookstore. I was living in Philadelphia at the time, and it was a quote unquote spiritual bookstore. And my mom is a pastor, and I had been raised Lutheran. And this was so far as a, circa 20-year-old person, this was just way outside the universe I'd been taught to encounter. And so I was obsessed with this bookstore. They had all kinds of spiritual books. And I went in one day, and there was a book across the store called There Is Nothing Wrong with You. Speaking of that message.
Oh.
And my feet started moving toward the book. My heart started moving toward the book. And interestingly enough, at the same time, my brain started saying, of course, there's something wrong with you. Here's the list. Do you want the list in alphabetical order or order of importance?
Oh my God.
The brain just started going anti-Jeffrey, but the heart was already connecting with that book, and it was written by a lady who runs a monastery.
Clearly, that was a moment that created a big change in you and put you on a path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Without even knowing it.
Oh my God. And God bless that store, right? That gave you a portal into that, and this world. Yes, the book title said there is nothing wrong with you. And even though your brain was going whatever, your heart won over. Your heart, instead of going, well, that book's a bunch of crap. Obviously, there's a lot of shit wrong with me. You went to it.
Yeah. How many times in my life had I seen that book in quotes and said, that book's full of shit already, right?
Yeah.
But there was something magical about this place and about this day and about just the importance that the way I would phrase it is my heart wanted me to see that book at all costs. How
do you describe yourself? I hear you talk a little bit on no, I mean, yes. Feel like in some ways you're non-definable in a wonderful, fantastic way, as I think we all are. We can put ourselves in boxes and say, oh, I'm this, that, and the other, and yet we're so much more than all those labels. But I know you use the term life coach sometimes. Is that correct?
Yes, I think that phrase is a little overused, or that title rather. What I really do is teach people to accept who they are.
Well,
and everything about them. And I do that one-on-one. So yes, life coach. Yes.
And I just want to say that if you're not following Jeffrey on Instagram, and I found them through Instagram, I haven't ventured into your TikTok, but they have this way of looking at you. When you look at me through Instagram, I feel you so deeply. I feel your love and your compassion and your acceptance and your understanding. It is and it's transformational, and really transformational. And so thank you. Thank you for that so much. So
You're
if you're
quite
not
welcome.
following them, go immediately and do, because it's lovely. And you also don't know what you're going to get, which is great. I mean, beyond the accessories and the lipstick color, which I love so much. But what I was going to say is, about 4 years ago, I found my way to a life coach, and I stepped into my first therapy session when I was 17 years old, maybe 18. And, I've spent a long time working on myself and healing myself and trying to be healed. And when I found Svetlana 3 or 4 years ago, through interesting situation, I wasn't looking for a life coach. I was helping her write her entrance essay into graduate school to get her MSW. She racked up all these hours with me, and I was like, let's do a trade. Like, the minute I knew she was a life coach, and she just was something about her. And what we worked on was self-love and self-acceptance. And even with all those years of therapy and 12 steps and all those different things, meditation, that changed me in a profound way that I'd never been changed before. And I continue like, oh, I have to love myself. What a concept. Oh, I get to love myself. Oh my goodness. I might actually be loving myself.
It's possible to love oneself.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's start with the fundamentals. Yeah,
Let's
absolutely.
start with the fundamentals. Oh, it's okay to love yourself. It's even a goal versus like, oh, don't be conceited or don't be, right?
It's not selfish. Yes. Yeah. And I absolutely know that as a person doing this work and trying to help people do this, I'll never be out of a job. I'll never have a lack of people who have been taught that there is something wrong with them, and we need to undermine that.
Yeah.
And so many folks try to dive into this work using a frame of, I'm going to figure out what's wrong with me, and then I'm going to fix it. People like you and I, we've seen enough that we know it's time for a totally different approach than that.
A totally different approach. I feel a shift. Jeffrey, do you feel a shift? I feel a shift in the population.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like
a shift toward more consciousness, you mean?
Yes, towards more consciousness, towards, look how many followers you have. You have those followers because people are looking for what you have to offer. And what you are offering is self-acceptance and self-love, and letting go of this idea that you're broken and you need to be fixed.
What I'm offering, I hope,
yes,
is a mirror to the truth.
Yeah.
That there's nothing wrong with people. I think people seeing in social media, we call ourselves thumb stoppers. I don't know if you've ever heard that term.
I haven't, no.
But people are scrolling through with their thumb, and it's an image, it's a phrase, it's an energy, it's a, personality, whatever, that stops them, puts their thumb down on the screen, and they're like, ooh, what's that?
Yeah.
And I think partly why I'm such a thumb stopper is that I'm an LGBTQ person who has no shame, does not hate myself, which is still rare, unfortunately. But also, I'm hopefully a well-polished mirror to show people that whatever they were told is the equivalent, right? Whatever they were, my LGBTQ-ness is a metaphor, right? So whatever they were told is wrong with them, they can be happy too.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we all carry shame, and we all, regardless of I think it's fair to say that everyone on the planet has shame, because it's part of,
what a
you're
sad
wrong.
State, right?
Yeah. It's part of the process. You become, I was just listening to Nicole Sachs. I don't know if you know who she is, but she, yes. And she was talking about, it's kind of hard to go from like a kid who doesn't have any boundaries to be given boundaries and learn when it's okay to cry, and you need to, elbows off the table, or whatever the fucking rules are. Even if you don't care about those things, we do need to fit into a framework. So it's hard for that to happen and not internalize that and feel like I'm wrong. I'm doing it wrong. Right?
nearly impossible.
Exactly. So, because when you say you don't have shame or self-hate, is that like across the board? Like, is that really true? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean?
Am I going to turn this microphone off and hate myself?
No, I'm just saying that seems like otherworldly to me, that to have moments of not having shame, or even days or even weeks of not having shame, or even when shame comes along, be able to go, oh, there's that shame again, and have maybe a separation from it. But to be shame-free seems like, I don't know, otherworldly. I don't know.
I absolutely mean it. It's my commitment, and I worked hard at it, and it's true in my day-to-day life. It doesn't mean that old patterns don't try to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a very human thing. But no, do I hate myself? Nope. Do I feel ashamed? Nope.
That makes me so happy and hopeful. And no, it does. It does.
I'm happy to talk more about it. I mean, to me, it's my moment to moment existence. So when people ask me about it, I don't know what I know what it's like to be a person living with shame. I did it enthusiastically for years, but I don't know what kind of ways to talk about it would be helpful. I walk around a lot of the time saying nice things to myself. That is something I've habitualized.
Do you have a couple of go-tos, or ones that maybe you're saying a lot lately? Or,
well, universal across the board. Thank you. I love you. I'm here with you. I was in a town that shall not be named, but who cares? Let's name it. Upstate New York. It's called Ogdensburg, New York. And this was before the pandemic, and I had done a gig, and I was wearing a sequin gown in the middle of Ogdensburg, and the Uber came to get me at the college where I spoke to the young folks and drove me back to the hotel, dropped me off in the parking lot of the hotel. And in the couple of steps of driving across where the Uber dropped me off, which was not directly in front of the door, toward the door of the hotel, a large, like on high wheels, pickup truck started driving behind me. And these two people, guys, men, inside the car were like, "Are you in a dress? Why are you wearing a dress?" Right? And I started literally breathing and saying, "I'm here with you, Jeffrey. I love you. I'm grateful for you. Thank you for who you are." I also picked up the pace a little bit and walked faster. But I was telling myself nice things while I did that and got into the hotel. And I ended up being safe. But, it was just an automatic way to be with myself.
That is so fantastic. I love that so much. So fantastic that has become an automatic way to be with yourself. I love you, Jeffrey. I'm here for you. Thank you. I appreciate you. I mean, that is fantastic. I'm going to immediately start doing that.
Oh, I think you should.
Absolutely.
It hasn't been the most pleasant thing to be treated terribly for a lot of my life because of who I am. But I have that no self-hate policy internally out of necessity. I was driven to this edge. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
But I have to, because I can't devote brain space to other stuff. It would destroy me. Yeah.
Well, I just adore you. Losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it. If you